The founder of EnglishAnyone.com, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. I will give YouTube a moment to notify people and then we will get started. This should be, as I usually say, a quick video. I know some people may look at the length of these videos and think, oh no, I don't want to spend an hour learning, but often the kind of lesson portion is at the beginning of the video. So if you don't feel like watching for a long time and getting the answers to a lot of questions that learners often ask me, then feel free to just watch the beginning. All right, so it looks like people are able to watch, so I'll get started. Today I want to talk about the new book I will be releasing very soon. I'm going to release it. I like when I create courses or books. I haven't created a new thing in a while, but whenever I do, I like to release it in stages to get people to test it first. So I'm going to have what I'll just call version 1.0 of the book. And if you were already a member of a program, or if you're already on like my list with lots of people learning, getting the emails I send with lessons and other information, then you will get information about the book. If you are not, you can just go to EnglishAnyone.com or click on one of the links in the description for this video, but I'll be releasing that soon. And I wanted to, in this video, talk about one of the chapters of the book. And this is about how different people learn in different ways and the things that a lot of people try that often aren't successful. And so I want to talk about why that is and hopefully give you some clarity about learning so you can get fluent faster. So if you have any questions as I go through this, this is more of an audience participation video, so I'll be asking you some questions and hopefully you can answer these. But again, the point, thinking about the book, when I release this first version for people, I want to get feedback from people who read it and let me know if it makes sense, because it's important for all the ideas to make sense. There are a couple of key pieces of information or key things I'd like you to know about fluency. These are the things that have been successful for me, and when I'm teaching my kids, teaching adult learners, non-natives, anyone. And so this has worked very well for me, and I think it could work very well for you too, especially if you're not seeing a lot of success with traditional methods. So let's get into it. I want to talk about today, so this chapter of the book, it will be talking about the traditional things that people do. So I wanted to begin by asking people watching this video right now, what are you doing to learn English? So just let me know in the chat. I can probably think of some things you're probably doing, but let me know in the chat what specifically you are doing right now to learn English. So I'm guessing your goal, you can also share this with me, so if you can tell me both of these pieces of information. But what specifically are you looking to do with English? And be as specific as possible. So if you just say, I want to learn English, for what? What is the reason you're learning? Are you learning for work? And what do you do exactly? How will you actually use English if you need it? But let me know what specifically you do. Olga, very good. So I do a lot of shadowing. So we'll just put this up here, shadowing. Now, when you say shadowing, what specifically do you mean by that? I just want to be clear for everybody. Do you mean listening to people and like copying, kind of repeating right after what they say? Is that what you mean? So I want to learn English for work. Okay. What specifically do you do, if you don't mind sharing that? I'm always curious how, not only what industry people are in, but exactly how they use their English. FAPL 1969 says listening. What are you listening to? Be more specific if you can. So when you say listening, what do you mean? Listening to what? And also, Olga, when you say shadowing, what are you shadowing exactly? So are you shadowing lessons or some kind of content, whatever? Let me know. So anybody just joining me, I want to lay out a couple of different things that people are doing to learn English. Now I'm listening to you and repeating everything what you were saying. Very nice. All right. So you're listening to lessons, but do you listen to any native content and do the same thing? Are you listening and repeating with that kind of information? people often ask me about shadowing, and I don't say it's like a bad thing to do, because people copy each other all the time, and even native speakers, children copy their parents, so it's a good thing to do. But we'll talk a little bit more about why it can be insufficient a little bit later in this video. Let's see, but very good. Teacher from Peru, native English speaker conversations. So you're listening to conversations. Okay, very good. Mohsin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Mohsin, I'm working as an engineer and leading a meeting with people from different countries. I see, very good. And Piero, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Haiti. And as I said, I watch some videos on YouTube and try to talk to some people. Okay, so we got listening. I'll just put listening. Try to talk, sure. So you can talk with people, speak with people. Actually, let me move this over. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So listening, talking, trying to speak with people. Maybe you're watching some kind of lessons, whatever it is. The people who watch my channel, especially if you've been watching my channel for a while, you might not be doing more of the traditional things like grammar drills. We'll just put like grammar study up here. And when I say grammar study, I mean specific, like looking at grammar rules and trying to study those and understand and memorize those, rather than understanding grammar in context. So typically grammar study is a specific thing like that, like you're actually looking through a grammar textbook. Anyone else? Any other things? What are you doing and why are you doing it? So what is the specific reason you're learning English? What do you hope to achieve with English? How will you use it? And then how are you trying to get to that? How are you trying to reach that goal? How are you trying to become a confident speaker? Let's see, I watched some videos on YouTube. Okay, so we got watching. So watch videos on YouTube. There are probably people maybe who watch movies or TV shows. Anyone watching those? Anyone have a favorite, like some English movies or TV shows that you watch? Anything? I don't really watch much TV lately. I haven't sat down and watched a TV show in a long time. I think the last one I saw was like Silicon Valley years ago. Feels like a long time. Sometimes I will see some TV shows occasionally, but like I haven't watched American TV shows in a while. All right, let's see. All right, so Olga says, I shadow everything I hear, but I do it 10 minutes a day, not more. Okay, all right, so, but you're doing it like at least some kind of shadowing 10 minutes a day. I'll just put, I'm going to put some other things up here. You might not be doing these, but a lot of people do, and I just want to put them up there. So you might be like studying word lists. Or maybe like, is anyone learning English still through their native language? So using some kind of translation. Anything at all? What different imitation shadowing? Yeah, I think the people who talk a lot about shadowing can probably tell you more about that. From my experience, when I talk about shadowing, it's really just listening and repeating after what people say. You're trying to copy them. But I don't know. I think shadowing is just a cooler term than imitation. But it's basically what children do. So an adult says something and children repeat after that. But you can also kind of speak along with other people as they do it. Yeah, Silicon Valley was funny. Arrested to watch Seinfeld. Let's see. So MJ from Vancouver, I write technical documents. Oh, that's interesting. An engineer writing technical documents. Yes, a Severance. Is that it? I think you mean, is that a TV show? Fang says, you are totally a good teacher. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you very much. User says, I've been watching your videos in 1.5 playback speed for 1 month. I've watched 50 of your videos since then. My English has improved a lot. Wow. Oh, my goodness. All right. I'm glad to hear it. Yes, I do speak a little bit slower in these videos just because there will be some people who maybe don't understand everything and they need a little bit slower pace. But I'm not... I'm very happy if people can watch at a faster speed as well. Even with the people who are in my premium programs, we built a video player specifically for people to change speeds and pause automatically and slow down and speed up, that kind of thing. So it's good to get that review. And let's see. Oh, Fang says conversations with natives. So you got talking. You could be like talking with natives or talking with yourself. I guess you could do that too, talking with yourself. What else do we have here? And MJ says, I took notes in meetings when they use native idioms and jargons in specific industry. Yeah, that's a good idea. So taking notes. Let's put taking notes. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold over here. And Ahmed says, I'm 62 and I learn English because I love English a lot. From Syria, the most thing I do is positive listening. What do you mean positive listening? Do you mean active listening or what do you mean exactly? Raphael says, hi Drew, it's been a while. I can't believe I got you live this time. Anyway, I use a Fluent for Life as mainstream. As recently, I've used AI to get varied examples of the target vocabulary. Very good. Yep, that's exactly what you should be doing. So get more examples of things, whatever you can do to lead you to certainty and confidence. And that's what we'll be talking about in this video. So T says, I'm usually exposing myself in English whenever I have free time, like consume a lot of English content. Again, so like watching videos, just like English content in general. We'll just put that over there. Talking to Chat GPT. There you go, talk to. Yeah, I'll just put that up here. So chat, or just put AI, having conversations with AI. Seven says, amazing, talking about practical work-life balance in a sort of robot way. That's interesting. Tom says, good morning there. And let's see, Gok says, I usually answer 3 general questions and record it for at least 10 minutes of speaking. That's interesting. Tom says, I speed up because I need to train to TOEFL test in order to enter a university. I see. Uzair says, I really want to have chat directly with you. How could I do this? Well, you don't need to, I mean, there's lots of people you can speak with. You don't necessarily need to speak with me. Ahmed says, yeah, active listening. Okay, gotcha. And Monica says, hello, good evening. All right, so just looking at the various things people do, how is all of this working for you? I want to ask you, of all the things you do, what is working for you and what is not? So what is actually making you feel more confident and fluent? What is actually letting you express yourself? So are there things you do where you're not really sure if it's helping you? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. You don't really know for sure. But other things you are, like you actually feel they're really helping you. But let me know, Monica, again, put like, so English content, we can put podcasts up here. Same kind of thing. Having English classes, yeah, you could put that here too. So English. So just lessons, it could be private lessons or classroom lessons, whatever the format might be. Anyone who promotes AI should be banned. Well, AI is just a tool. That's like saying anyone who promotes screwdrivers should be banned, you know. I'm not really worried about AI. AI is, it's just a tool. It allows people to do a lot of things that they don't want to think about typically. It can also allow people to cheat. But I think even when talking with AI, I had an interesting conversation actually with ChatGPT yesterday. I asked ChatGPT to teach me Arabic in Arabic, and it couldn't do it. And it wasn't surprising because the format of it, like listening to it, trying to talk with ChatGPT, it can't show you a bunch of images at the same time anyway. But I said, could you teach me Arabic in Arabic? And it said, sure. And then it started giving me some translations and like just ways of teaching me where it wasn't really helping me understand anything in Arabic. Bintang 221. Oh no, it's a lot worse than I think. It is? All right, let me know. Now you got me scared. I'm worried about AI. What's the problem? Let me know about AI. Raphael, again, the thing for me is that it seems like I get more knowledge and awareness of varied examples, but I still lack the flash response in real conversations. However, it depends on the subject. Yeah, that makes sense. So often when people are learning, there might be a disconnect between, especially depending on the subject, the things you're learning and then what you're able to use very quickly. And so often the more you know about a particular topic, the easier it is to talk about it. And that's probably the same in your native language as well. I think that's Portuguese, I believe. Let me know if I'm incorrect about that. But let's see. Ahmad says, sir, I'm between B2 upper level and C1 level, and I want to complete the C1 level and go to C2, but I have this feeling since 1 year non-progress in my English. Well, what are you doing to learn? Ahmad, what are you doing? So MJ, my experience is visual content helps me to talk better, but reading books helps me write better and have correct grammar. That's interesting. Wow. Monica says, AI is my friend, Serafina. Pretty good to help me with English. Yeah, it's artificial ignorance. Well, I found AI does make some mistakes. That's certainly true. And AI will bullshit you. It will, sometimes I'll just say random stuff just to see what it does. And it's like, yeah, I remember that conversation, and it's like, you're lying. And then AI says, oh, you got me, But I think, yeah, if you can control AI, if you can wrangle it, and get it to do what you want it to do, it can be very helpful. But I find it's often a lot of work to try to get it to do what you want it to do. Uzair says, the only reason I learn English is to find a partner for myself. When you say a partner, what do you mean by that? Nauf says, yes, I'm Arabian and we study Arabic. Hello, Fang. You are so handsome. Well, that's too kind. Very nice. Peter says, greetings from Chicago. Look at that, my hometown. I love you, sir. Better than ChatGPT is Frederick. Yes, it's a different way of learning. Ultimately, I'd like to make a system that actually combines some kind of AI with allowing people to control their own learning. So often what people are doing with AI is either they have to control that and it's kind of difficult for you to lead yourself when you're learning to know exactly what you should be focusing on or figuring out specific things like that. And so ChatGPT requires a lot of preparation in that way. I actually made a video about ChatGPT and a specific prompt you can use. So if you search for that video, you can find that. Mane, if I'm pronouncing that, is 1:45 a.m. in Morocco, so going to listen to you while sleeping. All right, good sleep there. And who's there says, a pretty and beautiful wife. Look at that, pretty and beautiful. All right, well, you're shooting for the stars there. I mean, it says I read books and watch YouTube videos and podcasts in general. Let's see. All right, people telling me where the time is in their area. Let's see. I can be helpful if more than ChatGPT to teach you Arabic. I appreciate that. I'm not actually trying to learn Arabic right now, although it would be interesting to do that from someone who knows how to teach like I do. But the point would be to learn English, or excuse me, learn Arabic, all in Arabic. And so what I want to talk about with these two. I've kind of grouped these two things. These are, let's see. Oh, if you look for my, just search my channel. If you're looking for like my wife or whatever, you see, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 videos from a couple of years ago. So we're just going to group this under typical things that natives do in order to learn, and English learners can certainly do these things as well. We'll put these other ones over here. There's some overlap here. So again, like shadowing specifically, I mean, natives could do this as well. Listening, obviously, this is a thing that typical language learners could do as well. But these are the general ways that people might learn. So you might also call this immersion immersion. So we have immersion, or trying to learn things the native way, and then we also have learning English as a second language. These are the typical things that people do, like studying grammar words, translations. Maybe you're getting some kind of tutor or some kind of lessons, something like that. And then here, this is mostly trying to listen and maybe even speak with either AI or actual native speakers, but a lot of this is getting content. So you probably know the term. I'll put comprehensible input over here. So I call this understandable messages because it's just a little bit easier to understand. Comprehensible input sounds like a fancier thing, but this just means information you're able to understand all in the target language. Now, when I think about the ways that I help people learn, most of the things that people are already doing, there's really like one thing in common, even for both of these different things that people do, where they're not really getting fluent very quickly, and they often still have trouble speaking, even though they do these things for many years. So they might be trying to do things, they're trying to do things more like a native would do them, or they're also doing more of the traditional things, especially beginners are doing more of this as well, because this is how most people teach English in classes and lessons, especially at the beginner level. So you're typically learning English through your native language, and then you're studying some kind of rules, and as you get better, then you do a bit more of this. So you find people to speak with, or you're learning with English content, podcasts, etc. So what I recommend is actually in the middle over here. And so I wanted to talk about that because in my book, I'm talking about the things that people typically do. Like, a lot of this can be helpful. I mean, even some of this can be helpful over here. A lot of it can hurt you too, unfortunately. Like, learning through translations will get you to think about translations when you speak. So often, that's the only way people are learning, but that's maybe helping them understand language for tests, but it's actually making it more difficult for them to speak, because if I have to think through things in my native language before I speak and then translate them in my head and then say something, that's really going to slow me down or just make it impossible to speak. So what I recommend people do, because most of these things, again, they can be helpful, but often they're not giving learners the one thing that they need to communicate. And so hopefully, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know what that is. But when you're in a conversation and you have this one thing, you can actually express yourself. And when you do not have this one thing, you struggle to speak. And again, it's often not the learner's fault. These are basically the two ways, or the two general groupings of words, or general groupings of ways of learning that people might use to get fluent. And often the tricky thing is that they're not giving you certainty. So certainty is the key here. And so if you feel uncertain about these, what we're looking for is actually a way to get more of this native content, but in a structured way that actually helps you understand things like a native, and the goal is to give you that certainty as quickly as possible. So if you're, let's say, learning through translations, if you study a word but you're not actually understanding it directly in English, then you're using a translation to do that. You're actually not certain about the vocabulary. So you have to think about translations when you speak. So because you're uncertain about what something means, like a word or a phrase or a grammar point or something, then you won't be able to use it. And the same thing over here. Often lots of people will watch movies or listen to podcasts or whatever, and they understand some new things, but there's not very much review there. And because people don't really understand a lot of what they're learning, they're getting a lot of this content, but it's not very efficient. And so it's almost like shooting yourself with a fire hose, and you're trying to get a drink of water, but it's too much coming at you at the same time. So there's a lot of good things here, but what we really want to do is look for kind of a middle approach, this third way, and this is what I call learning English as a first language. So again, this is one of the chapters in my book where I'm talking about how instead of learning English as a second language, you really want to understand things directly in English as much as possible. But instead of just getting lots of content, we really want to make sure we do this systematically so that we become fluent without wasting a lot of time or trying to pour tons of information and hope we remember something. We want to learn as quickly as possible and get to certainty as quickly as possible. I think I've told you a story before, or at least on this channel, and to email subscribers as well. When my younger, actually both of my girls, when they were in kindergarten, they had this little card. It kind of looked like this and had little stickers on it for their Japanese kindergarten, and they would talk about it at home like my shuseki kado. And when I heard that, and this is, again, I'm living in Japan, and so they were talking about that, I just knew it was some kind of card for kindergarten, but I didn't know what it was for specifically. So I just heard the word shuseki kado. I heard this again and again, but it didn't really click with me, and I didn't really think much about it. I hear lots of words all the time, and maybe I don't understand all of them, but I can't try to learn every word in the moment. So I do what I can with the vocabulary I can find, and some things I actually want to spend some time with, but other times I might hear something and just not have a chance to learn it or get more information about it. Anyway, a few years later, so the first time I heard this, like a couple of years ago when they were back in kindergarten, especially my older daughter was in kindergarten and she was talking about this. A few years after that, so this was like, let's say I hear in like the year 2020, I hear the first example of that. Like in 2023, I hear like shuseki suru for attending a meeting. And finally it clicks in my head like, oh, like shuseki means to attend, and this little thing is their attendance card for school. So without me, like anyone telling me what this word meant, I was able to figure it out. The only problem was it took me 3 years to do that. Okay, so I could have repeated the word shuseki or gotten a translation of the word, something like that. But again, the problem is not really how much time I'm spending with real Japanese. It's just how quickly can I understand that and feel certain about what I'm learning. Okay. Hopefully this idea makes sense, because what a lot of people do, it's helpful in some way, but they're often still not getting that certainty, and so they often learn more vocabulary, they can understand more, but they still have trouble speaking. And that lack of certainty is the thing that often holds people back in conversations. So let me go back and check chat, but I just wanted to talk about this and see if people have questions about this idea. I will be going into more detail about it in the book, but I just wanted to make it clear here for people, especially, they want to get access now, they want to be speaking better today. So hopefully they can start applying these ideas, and I'll give you some more information about that. So Monica says, The Secret Garden is a fascinating book, pretty good to practice English. Let's see, it's not easy to learn Arabic with AI. Yeah, it would be difficult. You would basically still be learning English the traditional way, or Arabic, or whatever language you're learning. All right, just ask ChatGPT 9.11 is bigger or 9.9. You can decide how much you can rely on it. Yes, like again, I use ChatGPT for things when I pretty much know I can check the answer myself. So I often don't depend on ChatGPT to just tell me new information. It's more, how can I get this and how can I check this information as well? And that's also an interesting point that goes along with this for learning. So you might even, let's say you hear something from a teacher and like you think like, wait a minute, I don't know if this is correct because someone else told me something different. And this happens to me actually quite frequently. Maybe I hear something in a textbook, or even the vocabulary might change. I remember when I first came to Japan, people would talk about nenkyu, which is taking kind of paid vacation days or whatever. And I asked I asked my wife's sister, who's Japanese, yesterday about that. And she said, oh, we don't use that term anymore. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So even the language can change, or things need to be updated, or people don't use particular words anymore. But there will be many times when you get one example of something, and that's often the problem with traditional methods, but also learning the native way. So even for my own kids, they could be watching a TV show in English or Japanese, and they won't understand all of it. So some shows, even shows for kids, they might have some additional vocabulary that's more advanced, or it's hard to understand. It's a joke, maybe only parents understand. So there's lots of information where you're getting it, and it's kind of stuff that you can't really do anything right now. Maybe you get some more examples later that help you understand things. And this often happens. You've probably had this experience before, where you're learning something, or you're in a situation and you discover some vocabulary, like, oh, like I realized something, like I was talking to my Japanese accountant a while back, and she said, like, I don't know, like nigatsu no atama or something like that. So it was like using the head of the month, and it occurred to me, oh, isn't that interesting? You can use like atama in this way, like head, but like we wouldn't say the head of the month in English. We're just talking about the start or the beginning of the month. But in that context, I was able to understand that, and I learned a deeper use, or another use of a vocabulary, of a word I already know. Let's see here. But yeah, so often, like, it's important to get multiple examples of things, even when you hear something from a teacher, because, for example, right now, I'm giving you slower, clearer examples. I'm speaking without mumbling or blurring my words together. I'm still speaking like a native. I'm just speaking more slowly and clearly. And that's why a lot of people say, Drew, I wish everybody spoke like you do. And although that's not possible, you can train your ears and prepare better for that as you get more examples from native speakers. But again, the point is to do this in the right way, to do it systematically, where we can try to get certainty with multiple examples as quickly as possible. So often, again, even if you hear something from a teacher, you might hear it differently spoken in everyday life. Let's see. All right, Sergio says, I think that the best way for learning English is practice every day. What do you mean practice every day? You mean speaking? Try to talk with people? So talking? Like I put this over here too. So talking is an example of something, yes, you could definitely do, and talking is definitely beneficial. If you can find people, if you feel comfortable doing it, if you have time to do it, there are lots of reasons why it becomes difficult. But even in conversations, usually what's actually improving is you not being able to understand something. So maybe you hear something from people. If you learn something from them in that moment, like I did from my accountant, that's actually improving my fluency. But typically you're not really improving that much unless you're getting lots of good examples from the people you're watching or listening to or talking with. So we really want to make sure you can do this quickly and efficiently, so that way you can get fluent faster. All right. Josette says, hello from Wilmington, Massachusetts. Renee says, greetings. I am late today. It's all right. Josette, shadowing helps me a lot with my intonation and accent reduction. You should also get Frederick if you'd like to do more of that. It will help you understand words the same way natives learn the vocabulary. So you can also compare different sounds and hear how the language works the same way native children learn it. You can find the link to that in the description down below this video. Raphael says, typically it happens when I'm not that familiar with the topic, I admit, but I want to improve my on-the-spot response with the vocabulary I have from other subjects. That's certainty. Your advice. Yeah, so again, that same kind of thing. Learning to make those connections is fantastic, especially if you can take information from one thing and connect it to something else. But you can also, in order to keep conversations moving, is just ask the other person for more information. So if I'm talking with someone and I don't know the subject, then I just ask them about it. I'm getting lots of questions and other information from them. about, like how to use, how to use information, or like just tell me more about what you do. Like, let's say I talk with a guy who's a biologist and studies mushrooms and something. I don't know exactly, but I'm talking with him and I don't know much about that, but I can ask him just to keep the conversation going and learn more about that thing from what he's able to tell me or teach me. So if I notice anything, I can use my own information as well. But don't feel bad about being in a conversation and you don't know exactly what, like don't know everything about every topic, because nobody does. So the best thing to do is just to ask the other person and learn a lot from the other person. And often people are happy to talk about what they do. So people talk about themselves or explain their job or whatever, and you can just sit and listen and get all that really good English, especially if they're natives. Uzair says, you are the main reason that I am now able to teach about 30 students every day. I really appreciate your hard working for us. Glad to hear it. Who do you teach? You teach adults or kids? So just as I practice my pronunciation with music, often rap songs. Last year I didn't understand, but today I understand very much. Glad to hear it. Look at that. Looks like a lot of improvement going on here. Maria says, hello, teacher. What is the best way to improve to English speaking? So that's what we're talking about in this video. I'll give another summary here for Maria. But the typical things that most people do are often not giving them certainty. And certainty is really what you need when you're in conversations. So if you feel unconfident because you're worried about making mistakes, or you don't know grammar, or you're worried about pronunciation or whatever, any uncertainty will stop you from speaking. And so the typical things that people do to learn languages are often not giving them certainty. They're often getting like lots of getting more information, and typically these people are like, they're trying to learn more. They're spending like a lot of information, or spending a lot of time trying to figure things out, but they're not making much progress, which is unfortunate. And it's often because they're still learning, but they're just not getting to certainty. And so if you don't feel confident about what you're saying, excuse me, still have a cold. If you don't feel confident about what you're saying, then you're not going to speak. So the fastest way to become a good speaker is to get certain about the vocabulary quickly, all right? So like if you watch the lessons that I do, it could be like what we do in Fluent for Life, or even in these YouTube videos here. The point more is like this English as a first language approach, where we can help you understand English in English. And that's part of what I'm doing right now in this video, is helping you understand English in English rather than through your native language. But we really want to do that as quickly as possible, so we can help you get that certainty, and that's what will help you to speak. So the book that I'm working on right now, this is one of the chapters, and I'm talking about that, and I explain more in detail and give more examples of how exactly that works and how exactly it's possible, because you can actually do this yourself. It's just a bit more difficult when you're trying to teach yourself a language, because it's hard to know where to start, and trying to get more examples from people. Let's see. All right. So I am, okay, I got that one. All right. Okay, it looks like you guys are talking with each other, so there you go. Let's see. So yes, please help me now. Let's see. All right. So let's see. Jessica says, I want to speak fluent English. Glad to hear. MJ says, I like saying, how do you do nowadays? It's just a what's up. They laugh at you. It's poetic. How do you do? Very good. Yes, it's always good to mix things up with people, especially with younger people. Say, oh, like, how do you do today? Like, how is your day going? So Lauren Goa says, I want you to talk about the history of English language if possible. Oh, there's other channels on YouTube that do that. Carl Washington, Drew, do you need to study kanji to learn Japanese the native way? Well, speaking is a thing that Japanese did for many years before kanji even came to Japan. So you don't need to know kanji in order to speak the language. But it's certainly helpful, because kanji they actually work together with the vocabulary. So like if I'm learning a word like As an example, like this is the character for like to rest, like yasumu. And it looks like it's a person kind of leaning against a tree like that. Now, not all kanji is pictographic and like an actual representation of something like that. Often you need to think a little bit more creatively about something. But the idea where if you get the picture of it, like often I might know some kanji but not know how to read it. So I can understand the meaning of it, like don't go in here, even if I can't read the particular kanji. But that makes it a lot easier when you're learning the language. Again, the broader point about this way of learning is that the more connections you have in your brain, the easier it is for you to remember things and use them automatically. So that's why we want to get a lot of varied examples and in different contexts, or even seeing an example like this, it's almost like a little story about what the character means. So again, like I don't necessarily study the vocabulary like a native, but I do make sure that I'm understanding, like trying to understand as many different kinds of examples as I can. All right, who else did I skip? Let's see. She says, currently I'm using TikTok to join live in some English room and start talking with some real people. All right. Hi, from Kenosha. Look at that, says Esther. Ahmad says, so what do you recommend for level up my English writing and speaking from advanced level to a professional level? Well, if you're trying to get to professional with writing, then just do more writing. You don't really need to do so much speaking for that, but you can definitely get more examples of things, and that will help you just basically the same way you would learn any kind of writing. You get more examples of it, actually do more writing, copy just the same way some people copy speaking, you can actually copy writing. So you can rewrite things and get a flow for what good writing is, whatever the kind of writing you want to do, whatever that professional means. So the same thing with speaking. Speaking, because it's something you have to do without hesitation, you really need to feel confident and sure that you know the vocabulary really well. And that's why all the videos I do talk about different ways of giving you certainty so you really feel confident about communicating. So let's see. So Atreus is a term NQ is still used. Yeah, I figured it probably is. I mean, I don't know. Like we had an interesting conversation about that, but my wife's younger sister, who is, how old is she? She's probably like 40 something, but it was surprising. I was like, oh, did you take NQ? Because she's off of work during Golden Week, and she was like, what? They NQ, you know, like, was I? It's like, I'm pretty sure, because I use that all the time. I remember using that a lot. But that was 20 years ago, so I don't know. Let's see. So most scenes is what I have to do if English is my second language. Yeah. So again, right now, you're learning English as a first language. So I'm giving you English in English, but trying to give you systematic examples that help you understand the language very quickly. And so the whole point right now, I'm kind of talking more about how language learning works in general, just sharing a little bit of the book that I'll be releasing very soon, version 1 of it. But I just wanted to make sure, kind of checking the idea with people to see the kinds of things that they do, just making sure that's connecting with the things that I have in the book. But typically, the things that people are doing, like if you're learning English through your native language, whatever that is, then that's going to make it much more difficult for you to speak. You might learn more English, you might understand more, but it's easier to take time and listen to people when like that process makes listening a much easier thing to do than speaking. Because even if you don't understand everything, you can still watch a movie or something. You don't have to respond to people. But definitely learning English through your native language is going to be more difficult. So that's why we have, like, that's the ESL, so learning English as a second language. And then we also have native approaches, which can teach you a lot of English, but they can also be overwhelming. And lots of things maybe are giving you information, but you still don't really understand well enough to use it. So that's why a lot of people, I remember making a video like how to speak fluently about almost anything. This was a woman I think in Canada, who's learning English, and she was basically complaining that she knew a lot. She could read books in English and watch movies, but she couldn't speak. And I said, well, the problem is you're not certain about what you want to say. And so often people can get information and people, they don't really think about how learning and like speaking and listening are two different things. And so you obviously need, it's like sitting in a car versus driving a car. And so when you're the one actually making sentences, you want to be feeling confident that you're expressing yourself correctly. Let's see. What did I miss here? Okay. And Sergio says, my grammar is awful. Well, that sentence is correct. There you go. Except for you could put a comma there. My grammar is awful, comma, sorry. But yeah, I'm sure it's probably better than you think. But if you're studying grammar to try to learn grammar, then that's going to make it more difficult. I know it sounds weird, but that's typically why a lot of people struggle. So Ahmed says, I mean, as I stuck in my English without progress for a while, I need the secret for overcoming this pitfall. This is it. So I actually call the book The Strangest Fluency Secret, because the whole point of the things that people typically do when they're learning languages is trying to get more input and then speak as quickly as possible. So they will like learn a little bit and then try to speak as soon as they can. When my approach is actually just relaxing, getting a lot more input, but in a structured way that actually helps you get certainty as quickly as possible, and then you speak. So you don't really work to get fluent, you let fluency work for you. So as you're learning the language, you're building fluency by understanding it better. And then when you're in conversations, you feel more confident and certain. So you speak. So that's how it works. So most people, they're either trying to learn more of the language or they're trying to get more native input, but they still just aren't getting that certainty. So either they're not getting certainty from all of this native content, even if they're trying to talk, or they're actually not getting certainty from the traditional ways that people learn. But this middle approach, we want to take the best things from both of these and give you a system that actually lets you communicate confidently because it gives you certainty. So the whole point is to give you certainty before you speak. So if you feel confident in a conversation because you know you'll communicate correctly, then you'll speak. But if you do not, then you will have trouble. That's the basic idea. So this is what the book is about, and explaining how this works and showing you examples of how you can do this, and then also how I can help you do that if you'd like help with me. But that's the basic idea. So when people are looking for a secret, like this was the thing that struck me the most when I was learning and not being able to speak different languages. Even when I came to Japan for a year, I still couldn't speak. Even being able to understand some, I had lots of trouble communicating even basic ideas. And that was because I wasn't certain. So when I thought about what I really needed to speak, it wasn't like shadowing necessarily or studying grammar or word lists or any of that. I just needed certainty. Because even if I shadow or have grammar or whatever, even in a conversation, people might speak differently, or they talk about subjects I don't know very well, or there are lots of reasons why I might feel nervous or worried in a conversation. But if I can feel certain before that conversation, because I know the language really well, and I can also do that much faster. So instead of doing things like the way natives would do them, people often think about natives having like a really good command of the language, and they do, but it takes them a really long time to do that because most of the things they do are not very efficient. Parents will say things to kids and kids don't understand all of it, or people communicate with each other and it's not exactly clear what you want people to do. So if you get native content, but in an efficient, systematic way, then you can learn English in English and make sure you don't have these kind of problems that you get with translations and things like that. And that's what it means to learn English as a first language. So this is what I teach on the channel. I know I'm not giving so many explicit examples of it in this video, but I thought maybe I would just talk a bit more just because the book will be released soon, the first version of it, and I wanted to see if people had any questions about this idea. So let me know, having explained it there, this is I forget what chapter this is, probably like chapter 3 or chapter 4 I'll be talking about this, but that's the basic idea. Let's see, Luana says, well, nowadays, if I'm not paying attention, I don't really understand. When will it get natural? Well, when you say you're not really paying attention, what do you mean by that? You mean you're in a classroom, or is there stuff you're listening to where you don't understand, or you're kind of bored by it? Why are you not paying attention to it? And is that just for learning English or for other things that you do? Let's see, Mark says, I can understand and speak English around 90%, but for me, it feels like I'm not enough. I still yearn for more knowledge and fluency. Before following you for more than a year, now I still have a lot to learn. Sure, there's even me as a native speaker, there's still more English for me to learn. I'm actually using a lot of vocabulary I learned years ago, but I'm still learning new things all the time, or new products are created, or new things that people talk about. So there are new things all the time, but most of the like learners, when they complain about not feeling like they're able to communicate, if you pay attention to what I'm saying, it's still using older vocabulary. I'm not trying to use a lot of complex things. It's still speaking in a fluent way, though. So don't worry so much about trying to add more vocabulary. I promise you, you will improve your communication skills as you just get lots of good examples that really help you understand what you already know. So in addition to that, I know people like learning lots of new vocabulary, so you can do that as well. But a lot of it's much easier to improve your fluency in the words you already know because you already did the hard work of learning them. And it's just remembering or understanding that when we get information, often we need a few examples of it to really feel confident about using it. So when we just hear something for the first time, maybe we can recognize it, but we don't feel very confident about using it. So rather than trying to add more vocabulary, if you already understand a lot and you can already speak quite well, focus more on really refining what you have. And this is often how natives are doing it. It's just that they do it in a kind of less systematic way. It's not like they have specific lessons every day. They just speak how they're feeling or talking about whatever, and often they talk about the same things again and again. So Ahmad says, my question more precisely, how I can improve my speaking and writing skills in English proficiency. So I answered both of those already. Fabio says, hi, skunk. Ahmed says, many thanks. Any particular titles? Watch my video about books, like these books get you fluent in English. Watch those. Or watch that video. Monica says, thank you, teacher. I got to go. See ya. And Carl says, I'd love to try the Badger method to learn English like a native and have those aha moments. Well, this is it. So you don't have to wait for me. You can do this by yourself. But the point is, like, instead of just watching random content, pick a particular topic and focus on that. So instead of watching one movie about car racing and then a completely different movie about, I don't know, dragons or something or whatever, take some short video clips that are all talking about the same thing. So it could be, I often give the example, how to grow roses. But whatever the topic is you're interested in, it's very easy to find lots of content for your level. And that just means you're able to understand most of the content already. And the point of watching these is to start feeding more systematically information into your mind that helps give you certainty about what you're learning. So again, the point is, it's not just to get comprehensible input, like we just want input. We want input for what reason? The reason is to give you certainty so you can use things automatically and confidently when you speak. That's the idea. So I don't know. I didn't think about calling it like the Badger method or whatever, but it's basically just learning English as a first language. So we're trying to take the best from this. We want to give you this native content, but we also want to use some of this where we're going to give it to you in a structured way. So if we can present information in the right way, there's lots of information available. The difficulty is just making sure you have specific, like, understandable pieces of it that give you certainty. All right. So Uzair says, if you suggest I'm all ready to get married to yours, and he says, oh my God, I can't wait for your book, Got Fluent for Life package, and it's been amazing so far. Awesome. Yeah, if you know anyone else who would enjoy it, then please recommend the program. But you're already experiencing the philosophy and the methodology and the actual training itself in Fluent for Life. So the book is for people, I mean, even Fluent for Life members, I think they will realize what I'm doing and why I do it with the book. But again, I'm going to release a kind of limited edition, just like for a short period of time, just to see what people think of the ideas, because like all the courses and things that I make, I like to have people, excuse me, I like to have people test, the ideas and make sure they understand. Bridget, nice to see you there. And Chrono, hi, Drew. If I struggle with the past tense, should I focus on the situation or the past tense verb form one by one? Well, just get more examples of people talking about what they did. Like you can watch examples on YouTube even about that. It's not really looking for the past tense. You don't really want to learn about the language. It's more getting examples of the language in context. So if I'm talking with just listening, I could go to YouTube and search, what did I do yesterday? And I can probably find videos of people talking in the past tense about something they did. So it will be some things like, I went to the park. Or they might talk about a continuous action like, I was playing the guitar, something like that. But the point is for you to make that connection without needing the rule in between you and the language. So we want to have strong connections directly with the language. That's why I talk about English as a first language. You're learning things in the language itself. Sam says, hello, how do you think that reading books can help you to be fluent in English? Well, reading books can help you in the same way that anything else can, but reading books can also not get you fluent in English if you don't understand them. If I try to read a book in Korean and I don't understand Korean, is that book going to help me get fluent? Probably not. But if I can get a book that will actually teach me some new things and I understand them and I feel certain about using them, then that book is giving me fluency. Let's see, MJ says, do we get email notification for the book release? Yes, I think you should be, you will. If you let me know if you're not getting notifications, but you can always email us at info@englishanyone.com. If you have any questions, let us know if you're not already getting mails from us. Keiko says, hello, Sensei. And Fabio says, sky become... I don't know what Fabio is going on here, because skunk is a badger? Fabio, what are you talking about? Skunks and badgers are two different animals. Is that what you've been trying to say? Yeah, look, you should Google that. You look at the difference. It's two completely different things. El Mahdi says, how could I learn writing techniques for digital marketing creator as a non-native English? Is writing more harder than reading or listening, or should I combine these three core English pillars? Well, also, I don't want to confuse people and think like you should be doing all of this. Like ideally, you're just doing this stuff in the middle, which is already a combination of the best things from these. So all of the videos I make, I know I'm not giving a lot of examples in this video because I've given hundreds of them in all of the videos that I have. This one is really just talking about the idea and letting people know often the reason why they can spend a lot of time learning is because the things they do are not giving them certainty. You might be learning more English, but until you really feel confident about what you want to say, you're going to have trouble speaking. So it doesn't matter if you're doing more native things or more traditional language learning things. If they're not giving you certainty, it will be more difficult for you to communicate. But if you can learn English in English quickly and easily, then it will make you a lot more confident as a learner. So you will speak sooner, you will express yourself more confidently. Fabio says, what is the name of the book? Are you talking about my book? The tentative title is The Strangest Fluency Secret. But if I can think of a better one than that, I will think about that. But it depends. What do you think I should call it? You can let me know if you guys have any interesting book ideas. But the basic idea is The Strangest Fluency Secret, and the subtitle is probably something like How to Speak English confidently. And it's like just a very simple idea. So what I'm trying to do is expand the potential or the ways of learning that most people are doing. So most people are only doing this or this. So they're doing maybe some combination of these two things over here, but they're still not feeling confident and certain because a lot of these things don't actually give you confidence and certainty, or it's difficult to get that unless you're really focused and you're strategic and systematic about how you learn. So a lot of people can spend time learning and they still understand more English, but they still have trouble speaking, and that's the reason. So again, they're not getting certain. That's why in my videos, especially in Fluent for Life, we really want to give people lots of varied examples to make sure they understand things really well. So that's what the book is about this, and there will be a lot more information, more examples and things in the book that lay this out. Some people who have been following me for a while, this might not be new information for them, but I think they will probably enjoy the book because it's really laying out everything about how I teach, how you can do the same things on your own if you like, or how you can get more help from me if you'd like to get fluent faster. So again, the things about there's a lot of content available and more content is created all the time, but it's still difficult for a lot of people to become fluent because they're still again not feeling confident about what they're learning. And Azur says, thanks, it's time for dawn in Saudi. I hope I can watch the next broadcast and bye. Well, that's all right. These are always recorded, so you can still watch them whenever you like. MJ says, I recommend to peeps online to check your video about different categories of movies and TV shows where you explain some movies as a storyline and some repeating situation. I don't recall that video title. So you're thinking of this, I think the title is this, or these movies get you fluent in English and these books get you fluent in English. I think maybe I did one for TV shows as well. But I was talking specifically about this idea of when you learn something, like let's say, let me be a little bit more concrete now that I've covered this, but hopefully, where's here it is, my eraser. So let me erase some of this. Since MJ, like Edge of Tomorrow is a good example. Did you follow any of that advice, MJ? Did you watch any of those movies? If you did, let me know how you felt after watching them. So what typically happens, whether you're learning the native way or you're learning the traditional ESL way, you're making like one maybe pretty weak connection between something in English and it could be a translation, or it could be it's basically it's like you connecting with the language in some way, but it's a translation, or maybe you just heard a word or something in a conversation or on a TV show. But one weak connection here is it's more difficult to remember and recall in conversations. You probably don't feel very confident about it. Maybe you hear an example from a teacher in a clear voice, but you're still not feeling very confident when you hear it, in a real conversation. And so, like what the examples like MJ was talking about for the movies I recommended or the books, like Edge of Tomorrow. So in that movie, you're seeing the same situation again and again, and sometimes it's the same exact speaking, sometimes it's slightly different, but it's the repetition combined with the variety. So it's not just like hearing the same thing again and again. Even if I repeat something, it's still the same weak connection again and again. But as soon as I can hear it from a different way, or like from a different person, or in a different context or something like that, now I'm making a whole network of connections here. So connecting me to the English I'm learning. And all those connections, that's what enables me to really feel confident and certain about what I'm learning. The first time you hear something, often you don't really feel very confident about what it means. I'll give you another example of this right now. Let's say I'm trying to teach you an alien language. And the word I'm trying to teach you is, we'll just say, it's a coup. So this is not an English word. This is not a real word. I'm sure maybe it's a word in some language, I don't know, but it's not a word in English. It's just a word in an alien language that I made up just to make this point clear about how you need to get multiple examples of things and varied examples to really feel confident about using them. So let's say I show you a picture. Let's see, what's a good picture over here? And I'll show you, let's see. I show you that. So I draw that in a picture and I say the word coup. What does that mean? What does coup mean? So imagine this is a flashcard. I hold up the flashcard and it's got that in it. What does coup mean? What am I talking about? So any idea? Any idea? Now, if I just repeat this, if I stand here and just say coup, 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 and repeat that, is that really helping you learn anything more? No, not really. You could maybe learn to pronounce it better if you like. But again, the important thing in conversations is making sure you understand and can use something confidently. And often information, like we need more than one example to really feel confident about it. So Tarek said it means button. Any ideas? What does coup mean, do you think? Coup. Any ideas? Anything else? No ideas? Coup means what, says Rolla. And again, this is my alien language example that I often give. I try to teach different things, but this is just a way of understanding the language in the language. But the point is, when you learn a new language like this, I could tell you the answer. So geometric forms, says Rolla. Yeah, that's an interesting example. Geometric. Geometric forms. Yeah, so it could be a warning sign, says George. Warning. Good idea, good thoughts. Now what's interesting is we have three quite different, a YouTube play button. Yeah, it kind of looks like a play button. So another thing, we got the button over here, or the play button specifically. Coup. Fabio says a coup. No, we're not talking about that kind of coup. MJ says a triangle. And so, yes, so Rolla says, can you give us another picture? Now, exactly, this is my point. When people learn something, often in a textbook, you will find, like, and it might not even be a picture, it will just be an English word that you don't know, and then it will be a translation of that in your native language. HRA says some kind of beverage sold in Japan. It could be a beverage, like a drink. It could be. But let me give you another example. So again, if I only give you this, then I really have to give you a translation to make it understandable in some way. But you're not really connecting with it. You're not really feeling confident like you discovered it yourself. It's just like, I'm not quite sure what it means. But isn't this interesting? So we have play button, a warning sign, geometric forms, triangle, drink. That's quite a few different things that people think this could mean. I'll give you another example. Coup. 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 Any ideas? Now what do you think coup means? With this second example added here, what do you think it means? Anyone? Yes, geometric forms. Look at that. Rolla, feeling very smart, very good. What's a simpler name we could use for that? Yes, you could just say like geometric forms or whatever. I'll draw another one for you. A shape. Okay. Now, this is the whole point. What I'm doing here is teaching you an alien language as a first language. So instead of just telling you what it means, I'm trying to create the situation that allows you to discover something yourself. All right? And this is just like a very important principle about psychology that most teachers ignore. They're just telling you information without helping you really understand something, because they're kind of stealing the opportunity from the learner to really understand what something means. So as we spend just a little bit of time with this word, and I give you different examples of it, Now you feel confident. Okay, like I understand. Now, if I maybe like don't teach this word ever again, you will probably forget coup. Like it's not important for you. It's not really meaningful. But if tomorrow you came back again and I was talking about like, what do you think that is? What is a kaku? Any ideas? So let's say this is today's lesson. We're just covering this very quickly, but then we come back tomorrow and I'm introducing this. So ku is this over here, any kind of shape. So this is kaku. What do you think I'm doing here? Kaku. About this one. So this is kaku and this is kiku. What do you think? Any ideas? Are you feeling it? Are you getting those aha moments as I give more examples? There you go, George is getting it. We have a blue shape over here and a red shape over here. So we could get more specific. I could talk about what was different, like this one being a circle and that one being a triangle. But the point is, as you get more examples of things, you feel more confident and certain about using it. Okay? So instead of trying to quickly get a translation, like you're learning as much as you can build certainty and make many connections with things very quickly by learning in this way. And this is learning English, although I'm using this alien language as an example, just because you don't know it and I don't know what your native language is. So MJ would be, let's see. Zeku. And I'm just making this up. This is not English. This is not a real language. But you could see how I would build something like this if I were maybe teaching you some alien language from the beginning. So if I'm teaching you Japanese in the same way, I don't know, I do this lesson sometimes. I know there are Japanese learners or even native speakers who watch my videos, but このマーカーはね、マーカー、マーカー、マーカー。黒いマーカー。赤いマーカー。青いマーカーね。青、赤、黒。わかる？わかりますか？わかったか？黒いマーカー、赤いマーカー、青いマーカー。All right, so you might not remember everything I'm teaching you right now, but your brain is getting it. Your brain is like, oh wow, look at that. I'm actually learning Japanese in Japanese. All right, so if you didn't know Japanese already. But that's the basic idea. So whether I'm teaching an alien language or Japanese or whatever, the point is to understand it in the language itself. これ、それ、これ、それ、これ、それ、これら、それら、これ、これら、これ、これら、これら、それら。Everybody getting it? I could teach you Japanese in Japanese, and even with just a little bit of time, you would understand quite quickly, and you would feel confident about saying it yourself. But what I'm not doing is trying to say, repeat after me, and I'm going to give you like a translation of what this is and explain everything. The whole point is to set the conditions or the situation where you can make those discoveries yourself. So when you do that, you're learning English as a first language. And it's possible for you to do this yourself when you get lots of examples of things that instead of just getting one, you're getting a bunch that actually you feel confident about like, okay, now I understand what something means, but all in the language. All right, but people are getting it. Let's see. So adding property, learn and grow. Yes, I understand, sir. Language literally should be taught this way. Yes. So most people do not do it this way because it takes a little bit longer at first So I have to, I'm giving you some examples, like, this is the example here with teaching you markers. It is faster and like initially to just say like red equals aka. That's it. Like if I'm just going to give you an example like that and just explain it in English and give you a translation. But will you remember that? Will you be able to use it confidently and fluently? Probably not. Okay, so it's a different kind of learning. At first, it seems a little bit slower, but because you actually can learn much more, you accelerate your learning and you get fluent much faster than by learning with traditional methods, even if you're trying to learn trying to get more native content. All right, let's see if we have a last couple of questions here. Maka is like a British form of marker. Yeah, so the ER sound is not in Japanese, so you can't say like marker. So like even my name, like Badger, they can't pronounce that, so it's Baja. Usually when I go to Japanese restaurants, I just say my name is Tanaka, because it's easy for, they're like, what's your name? I say, Tanaka. And they kind of laugh at me a little bit, but they're, it's the same kind of thing. Corona says, I love the dwell example that you gave us the other day. Yeah, so that's exactly the same thing. So I use that dwell example. That will probably be in the book also. But this is another example of how seeing only one example, even if you see a good picture of it, it's still not really clear. Your brain is still like, I don't know for sure if that's what this means, Yeah, I thought Keiko might like that. All right, let's see. Tarek says, I know very well I need to invest enough time learning to become fluent, but the feeling that I don't have enough time seems to prevent me from varied sources or some phrases or words. Well, I don't know how busy you are, but showing you these examples, and I can do that very quickly. So most people, especially if you are watching videos on YouTube, you probably have some time to learn. But it's important for people to understand the general principle here, because when they realize that, oh, it's actually possible to understand in English and do that much faster, then now I actually feel confident about spending my time learning. So a lot of people, they are not motivated to learn because what they are doing isn't actually getting them fluent. And it's not their fault. It's just the typical ways that people think about learning. It's just these two things. Either you're trying to learn things like a native, so you're trying to get more input, but it's not very strategic or systematic, or you're doing things the traditional way, and it's not really helping you actually understand things like a native, so you're going to struggle to use them like a native. So that's why I just many years ago started teaching this way. So this is the same way that I got fluent. It's the same way I teach my own kids. So I don't even have that much time with my own daughters to teach them English. So they go to regular Japanese school and most of their day is in Japanese. But I get a little bit of time, on the weekends or, in the afternoons or the evenings to speak with them. And so when I do have that chance, I really want to make sure I'm teaching them as efficiently as possible. So it doesn't take a lot of time to do this. It's just picking a specific thing, focusing on that, getting fluent in that particular thing, and then you can move on from there. All right, what is the best way to learn a language? So that's what I just explained, MBO. So if I were trying to teach somebody from zero, so that's what I do in Frederick, whether you're learning from zero, probably the people here watching this don't really need Frederick for just understanding the language, but it will really help you understand like a native if that's what you'd like to do. So helping you understand pronunciation and grammar and the vocabulary itself. Frederick will help you do all of those things, but that's how I would teach a native. I would teach a new beginner in the language as a first language. So the point is like this. If I could give you these different pieces of, even shapes like that, where you could manipulate the language and see what happens when you change those things, then you would become a confident speaker, because you would easily discover those things yourself because of the conditions that happen. Like, it's the conditions that allow you to notice those kinds of things. So in real life, often these moments, these aha moments we have when we discover things, it feels like it's a kind of rare thing. It's often an accident, like we're just in the right place at the right time and we discover something. Like the time I was at, this is another story I tell in the book actually, how I was at the Korean or a Korean barbecue restaurant here in Japan, and I was able to teach myself some Korean from a movie poster. So I didn't get any translations, it was just like understanding the context of the movie, and I was able to understand some Korean as a result. I don't remember it because, again, like just like this alien example, it wasn't, like meaningful to me. I didn't need to learn Korean, but it was just an interesting test to see if I could teach myself some Korean from that example. Let's see. So MJ says, it's like a newborn listens for a year and after that starts talking without knowing any grammar. Yeah. But I want to make it clear that even native speakers are not learning very efficiently. Native speakers could also learn much more efficiently and become better speakers even faster. So you don't need to be born in a particular country. You can actually get fluent faster than a native. If I take an adult in this country and a baby in this country over here, I could get the adult fluent much faster than that baby would get fluent because I can give them the right input and make sure it's systematic, that they understand and feel confident and certain before they speak. That's the idea. Thank you. Rolla is the water manager. Anyway, I think we got a few last questions over here. So don't worry about being a native in order to do this. The point is, how can we take what natives do, but do it much more efficiently? And we can do that quite easily just by learning English as a first language rather than trying to learn it through our second language. So those second language traditional learning methods are going to make it much more difficult for you to speak. Ahmed says, when I read any book, I understand 70% and don't do any translation and not kill the pleasure of reading, but I need to back to those words, but I am lazy to go back to them and rely on logic. Yeah, so you have to try to guess the meaning. And again, this is what happens when people are reading books or watching movies or listening to podcasts, whatever that thing is. They understand some of it, and they might even learn a few new words, but they're not really feeling confident and certain about what they learn. So they continue to grow a passive vocabulary. They learn more words, but they just don't feel confident about speaking. So that's a big frustration for people. And so all you have to do, instead of just getting native content, get native content efficiently. That's really the switch, like the simple thing, especially if you are already trying to listen to podcasts and movies and things like that. Just do it more efficiently so that you're giving yourself certainty about what you learn. Learning Grow says, sir, how many languages do you speak? I can only speak English and Japanese. Yusuf says, I don't understand you. And Rolla again. What is the fastest way to learn English? This is it. If you get Frederick, that is the fastest way to learn English. That is like, it's the fastest way because you don't have to wait for a teacher. It's not like taking a class one day a week and then taking a class the next day. Like you could actually teach yourself. So I could give Frederick to a child or an adult who doesn't know English, and they could teach themselves. I mean, they could be like starting to speak that day because they feel confident and certain about what they learn. And it's only because I'm giving them the conditions that make it easy to understand the language. But you're teaching yourself the language by testing different words and sounds. That's how it works. So the next app will be taking that to another level. But Frederick works perfectly for the people who are trying to learn, whether it's adults who also know a lot, but they still want to feel more confident about even the basics of pronunciation and learning more words and grammar, all of that stuff. So lots of adults get the app, but kids are using the app as well to teach themselves to read. So native speakers use the app to teach themselves to read. But non-natives also use it to teach themselves the language. So you learn to read, but you also learn the language at the same time. But in the future, this will be the way everybody is learning. So even when people are talking about learning with AI at the moment, it's still teaching you in the traditional way. It's still just giving you more translations of things. It's not really helping you understand the language in the language. And that's what gives you certainty. Okay. All right, now I'm losing my voice over here and been talking for 80 minutes. Oh my goodness. And I always say these videos are going to be short and then they last, as long as they do. If anybody has any last questions, feel free to post them as I take a quick drink of my Suntory Tennensui no. めっちゃ美味しいお水ですよ. Very delicious. Very delicious. It hits the spot. Let's see. Rolla says, Sir Frederick is helping me if I understand you 100%. Glad to hear it. How to gain certainty. So the idea about certainty is like these examples I'm giving you here. The more examples and varied examples you get, sometimes you can just get one good example, like a quick story or something that makes you feel certain and confident about vocabulary or pronunciation or whatever. But usually we need more than one example to really feel confident about things. But what people typically do is they just repeat information again and again. So I might learn a word like coup, and then I'm just seeing this same shape, like just this one thing, coup, 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 again and again. But as you get different examples, you realize, coup actually means shape. It doesn't mean play button or triangle or something like that. So in regular everyday conversation, you will hear, whether you're in the conversation or watching a movie or something, you will hear lots of English, but maybe not feel completely certain about what it means, so you're unable to use it. And that's why certainty is such an important part about communication. And that's why many people talk about being frustrated or worried about mistakes or other things, because it's embarrassing when you can't speak correctly. So that's a frustrating thing for people, and it's more frustrating because the things that they're trying to do, they're working very hard at learning, but it's doing typically like the native kinds of things or the traditional English as a second language way of learning that makes learning more difficult. It's not actually giving you certainty. It's just giving you more content, or it's giving you translations or teaching you rules about the language rather than really helping you understand it. So to get certainty, typically you should be learning everything in English, and often it requires multiple examples. But the point is to learn English in English and make sure you're learning systematically to get that certainty. That's how you do it. So if you're watching content or listening to content or reading content already, but still not speaking, then it's going to be more difficult for you if you just continue learning that way. So if you stop and focus, like let's say you're going to get, a particular, whatever the example is. It could be a particular word or phrase, or it could be even talking about a whole situation. So let's say the ESL way, I want to learn about ordering drinks in a restaurant, for example. So if I want to learn that, I would get probably one example of a situation like a dialogue. Excuse me, and the waiter says, yes, how may I help you? And I say, okay, I would like a beer, please. And the waiter says, okay, I will bring you a beer. So maybe I would see a sentence like that in a textbook. And I would learn that, and maybe somebody would actually say that in real life. Maybe they would. But probably I would hear something different, like even just for this example. So just to write this down very quickly again, so I'm learning how to order a drink at a restaurant. So I go to the textbook, and the textbook says, so this is me, I'll just put an M, me here, as is where I say, may, or actually here, I'm going to put the, so I have to get the waiter's attention at first. So I say, excuse me, excuse me. And then the waiter says, how may I help you? Excuse me, pardon my sloppy writing as I'm trying to get this out quickly. And then I say, I would like whatever. So I would like a beer, I would like, whatever it is. And then the waiter says, sure, one moment, please. So one moment, please, something like that. So in a textbook, I might see an example like this. It will be a lesson about how to order drinks, and I'm in my classroom with the teacher, and we do some role play. So, okay, the teacher says, excuse me, so the teacher will be the person ordering, and then I will be the waiter, and I say, how may I help you? And then the teacher says, I would like a beer. And then I say, sure, one moment, please, and I pretend to, here's your beer, like this. So this is how a typical English lesson works. This is the typical ESL approach, and maybe you get a translation of some of this. There might even be a translation under this to help you understand it. But again, you don't really feel confident about it. And the difficult thing is, in real life, you might not hear any of this in a real conversation. I might go to a restaurant and I just say, I'm just trying to say, like, get someone's attention. I just say, hey. I don't even say excuse me, which is a bit more polite. That's why you find it in a textbook like that. But I'm just saying, hey, over here. Could I get some help? Could I get some help? And the waiter comes over and just says, oh, what can I get you? What can I get you? And it depends, because some restaurants will be more casual, some will be more polite or whatever. But again, like, or if you go to McDonald's, they say, like, may I take your order? May I take your order? So people have maybe specific things that they have to say, but it depends. And so instead of getting one example in a textbook, it's much better if you can see 10 different people ordering drinks in a restaurant. So if I go to a restaurant with some friends of mine and I'm in Japan, I can just sit and watch all of them order. And then I order after they're done. So I watch all of them, and it's like, biru kudasai, like just someone says, like, biru nihai, whatever. Like, I can hear people ordering different things, like, and I hear what words they're using or how they might express things. And then, because I heard all of that, I feel very confident about ordering myself. Okay, so again, the traditional way that people learn, it's often teaching things that are correct but might not be used. So it's important not only to understand the vocabulary, but to be prepared for real life. And so we really want to get that certainty not only about vocabulary, but certainty about situations themselves. So actually the communication environment, really speaking, what do people say in this situation? How do people talk? What are varied ways that people might express themselves? And so what learners need is actually to be prepared for this in the same way that natives get prepared, but we can do it much faster if we do it systematically. Okay, so natives, again, they're getting lots of English all the time. They're hearing, it's just like, wow, it's like being in central, I don't know, like in downtown New York, and you're at Times Square and you have all this advertising hitting your eyes and ears at the same time. And like, you most likely will not remember all of it, and it's hard to focus on things. So people are getting lots of content. Content is not the problem. It's the structure and the systematic way that you get that content. That's the important thing. So instead of me getting this traditional way of learning or just getting lots of content, I want to get just making sure that people understand actually what they're learning. So if you feel confident about it, if you feel certain because you get lots of examples, then you will feel confident about speaking. So you don't have to try to force yourself to speak in order to get fluent. Again, like, you're not working to get fluent, you're letting fluency work for you. You're letting fluency develop as you get these examples. And so fluency is working for you. Your brain is naturally getting you fluent because it understands more and more with each new example. All right, last couple of questions here. Should I use a dictionary to learn new vocabulary? You could. It's probably not going to be very memorable, but you could do that. I would much rather make it more interesting for myself, more emotional, so I'm learning vocabulary from particular situations rather than just, here's a list of things in a dictionary. So if you're doing that already and it's working for you, then great, continue to do that. But if you're doing it and it's not working for you, then probably you should stop. All right, MJ says, I truly enjoy listening to you even if the video is too long, since you talk so clearly with no accent. So thank you. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Rolla says, sir, I'm asking you if Frederick is going to help me even if I understand you 100%. Yes, it will. So again, depending on what your specific goal is, if you want to understand English like a native, and understanding me versus being able to speak like I do, that's the bridge we're trying to cross there. So I want to make sure you don't just understand me 100%, but you can also feel 100% confident when you speak. So if you're unsure about pronunciation, or there are words or grammar points that you'd still like to get more review with so you feel more confident about them, get Frederick, then it will help you. But if you already speak fluently 100%, you probably don't need to watch my videos anyway. So it's up to you and what your particular goal is. Can I get y'all started with a drink? There you go. Can I get y'all started with a drink? Can I get y'all started with a drink? Some hors d'oeuvres. Jordan says, Drew, as an American and native English speaker, do you have a hard time to understand British people talking in movies? No, not really. They might use a particular word or phrase, like slang, that I don't know, but no, in general, I understand everything. The languages are not that different. They're like our cousins, but they have a kind of proper way of speaking, which I like. Or I even have, friends in Australia or New Zealand, and so they sound a little bit different. They have their own slang, but again, it's basically the same language. All right, I'm going to shut it down before I lose my voice completely over here, but hopefully people have enjoyed the video. Again, the idea here is that we really want to make sure the things that you do, if they are giving you certainty, then you should continue to do them. If not, then please stop doing that and focus more on getting certainty. And I've given you some examples of how to do that. But the book I'll be releasing soon will talk more specifically about various examples and why we do it this way. And help you to do that. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can just click on the links in the description below this video, or send us an email if you're not already on the list. You can probably find out more at EnglishAnyone.com as well. But Keiko says, thank you, teacher. Hopefully a nice lunch after this. Yeah, it should be a nice day. Rolla says, glad to hear it. Get well soon. I will get it soon. Thanks, sir. Yeah, glad to hear it. So you can always try it for free, see how it works. And it's not expensive if you want to get the whole thing, but it will teach you over 2,000 words and sentences the same way natives learn, but you will actually get to discover that very efficiently and learn as quickly as you like. That's the whole point. So again, it's teaching you English as a first language and making sure you understand things. All right, Tarek says, thank you, sir. Can't wait to get hold on the book. You would say get a hold of the book, or get my hands on the book. If you're already a subscriber, you will be notified when that comes out, but I'm working on it right now. I will actually be working on it more today, but hopefully, does this idea make sense? Just let me end the video with this, making sure that people here understand the idea. So there are basically two main kinds of things that people do to learn. There is the traditional way of learning, and there is the more native way of learning, but this one often feels a little bit more overwhelming for people, and both of them, for different reasons, can be difficult, or it can make it difficult for you to get certainty about your English. But making sure that you understand things, that's what we do. I'm not trying to make this like a narrow thing. I just put it in the middle of these, but that's basically the idea. So I really want to make sure people understand it is possible. It certainly is possible, and pretty easy, actually, and pretty quick when you start learning this way, to learn English like a native, but being it in a efficient way, or in an efficient way. So you're learning English in English to understand the language with confidence and certainty, and that's when you start speaking. So you don't have to put pressure on yourself to speak. Spend more time relaxing, enjoying the language. Again, don't make fluency work for you, or actually let fluency work for you. You don't need to work for fluency. I know it kind of sounds weird, but lots of people they're working hard for fluency. But fluency should be working hard for you if you're learning the right way. If you're just giving your brain the opportunity to understand things and get certainty, you will be rewarded naturally with speaking. All right, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.